Alright guys, moving on ahead to stage 9. This is the final stage you have to complete before getting to fight against the final boss of DSA. There is an environmental hazard here that does play a role in the stage mechanics. You see there are little indents on the ground. Red AoE circles will spawn on the ground there. They will not do damage if you step on top of them. Instead, they will drag you down to a separate part of the arena. So when you get sucked down into that separate part, you're going to need to kill the ads that are down there in order to spawn the portal to get out. When you enter the portal to get out, it'll put you back to where you first enter the arena. Priority targets here are going to be the wraiths and the ghosts. There's a wraith right there. You will fire out an ice storm that deals a lot of damage. Basically, the wraiths are this stage's version of ice mages. You're going to want to take care of those. Illusionists are going to be your second priority target. They have a crystal blast that can knock you down if you're not blocking. And in addition, they can fear you, and they can fear you into those red circles there. So you want to avoid stepping into the circles until rounds 3, 4, and 5. The archers, again, you're going to want to take care of the archers. Make sure that you chain them in to interrupt their endless hail. This stage here has a lot of ads, so as the tank, you're going to have your hands full trying to taunt all of them. Just make sure to taunt your priority targets, and make sure to leave the melee for last, because they will run over to the group in order to attack you guys. So just wait for them to get there and use your one-handed taunt instead of wasting magicka on your range taunt. You can see, grab the ghost. The other mobs here, not that big of a deal, the Ravagers and the Thundermauls. They're just your standard melees. Thundermauls do have the AoEs, but that's really it. You can make sure to interrupt those Thundermauls if they're doing that move there. Wraith spawns right there, make sure to take that out, that's your priority target. Ghost spawns to the east of the map. Make sure to grab that. Make sure to use your ultimate, keep your ultimates on cooldown. Particularly as a DK tank, if you're starting to run low on resources, don't be afraid to use Barrier or Warhorn to get your resources back. Because if you do run out of resources, that's going to be pretty tricky on everybody involved. Alright, round 3 is when these red AoE circles and that separate arena are going to come into play here. Round 3 and round 4 kind of have a mini-boss. When the mini-boss spawns, they're going to spawn on the last wave of ads. And when they do spawn, they're going to become invulnerable. Basically, what you're going to want to wait for is you're going to see a golden ghost head down into the hole. You're going to follow that ghost down into the hole. And basically, one DPS is going to go down there and kill the ad to make the mini-boss on the surface vulnerable again. So here he is. He is Jonaset. You can see that is the mage that you're going to want to follow down the hole. Doesn't really matter what hole you fall into, as long as you fall into a hole. So while our magicka Sork is down there, we're dealing with the ads. He'll tell us when he kills the ads and the boss is vulnerable. That means that gives our other DPS, that gives them the cue to start burning down the mini-boss. If you don't burn down the mini-boss in time, he will enrage and spawn another golden ghost. You're going to basically have to repeat the entire process again. But keep in mind that because the mini-boss does enrage, he's going to get very strong, so you're going to want to just watch out for that. You want to burn down the mini-boss before he enrages and becomes invulnerable again. Round 4, same thing. The mini-boss is going to spawn on the last ad phase. One DPS is going to have to go down and kill the ad to make the mini-boss vulnerable. Once he does so, give the cue for the other DPS to start burning down the mini-boss. Tank and the healer don't ever need to step down into the other arena at all. The other DPS usually won't have to go down. On the final boss, you might have two DPS go down at the same time, but it all depends on whether your DPS who is assigned to go down is comfortable sustaining themselves through the ads that spawn down there. For this reason, it's usually preferred for a magicka DPS to go down there and take out the ads because they have access to a shield. Stamina DPS do not have access to the shield. The second mini-boss can spawn 2 additional ads. You saw that there. He spawned 2 extra ads there. That's only if you take too long to kill him, though. If you kill him within a set period of time, he's not going to spawn those extra ads. Going into the final boss here. Spawns with a wraith. Make sure to taunt the wraith as the tank, and then get the boss. Archers over here. Make sure to interrupt it if it's doing its endless hail. Boss has a lot of AoE moves. You see that one there, Bat Swarm, and then she has a mist form. Those two follow her around, and they will overlap. So tank, you're going to have to keep very close eye on your health. Healer is going to need to heal you through it. She can throw down a standard, as you see there. Red AoE. She has a heavy attack there that does deal AoE damage if it does connect and you're not blocking it. So tank, you got to make sure to block that heavy attack so any melee DPS don't end up getting hit by that AoE. At 80%, the 2 mini-bosses from rounds 3 and 4 are going to spawn. And this is when your DPS or 2 DPS are going to jump down into the hole to kill the ads. There will be twice as many ads down there because you have the 2 mini-bosses this time. What you're going to do is you're going to want to bring them over to the mage boss. The mage mini-boss spawns on the west side of the map. You can see there DPS killed the ads down there. Gave our other DPS the Q. Our healer used the Warhorn to help the DPS burn down the ads before our other DPS comes back up to help us out. Again, if you don't kill them fast enough, they'll become invulnerable again. They'll enrage, and you have to basically go back down and kill those ads all over again. Once you kill the 2 mini-bosses, they won't spawn again, so you don't have to worry about going down to that separate arena again. You just have to make sure to keep the boss in this spot where you won't accidentally fall into one of the holes. As a melee DPS, this boss is particularly troublesome because of those AoEs. They do follow her around, so you are going to take some amount of damage if you want to stand in them. Second wave of ads spawn at 40%. You're going to have a ghost, an archer, and a melee. You're going to want to pull the ghost and the archer in, and then just taunt the melee as it gets close to the boss. Watch out for the ghost. The ghost does have a fear move. It can fear you into the circle, so do keep that in mind. Try to burn down the ghost. As you can see here, Destro ulti is very powerful to use here. And from here on out, it's basically just tank and spank the boss. Boss does not have an enrage timer, so feel free to take your time, but just don't take too long if you're going for score. When the boss is dead, gate's gonna open. This chest, just like stage 8, will have a jewelry piece from one of the 4 sets here. Then you can step through the portal to face off against Hyeth. It's gonna be the final boss of DSA. If you are fighting against Hyeth, you're gonna need to change up your gear set if you're the tank, and especially if you're the healer for this strategy here. See here, I am using a health stacking build against Hyeth, and our healer has changed over to Kagranak's Hope for the extra health, because she's going to end up tanking the final boss, so she's also going to use a sword and board on one of her bars. If you need ultimate after that fight, if you have access to the mud ball collectible, you can mud ball each other and basically dodge roll through after you toss the mud balls. That'll give you guys some ultimate. You're going to want to go in, at least the 2 DPS and the healer is going to want to come in with their ultimate fully charged. The tank doesn't necessarily need ultimate so much, depending on the class. I like to have ultimate going in, but it doesn't always work out that way. As by the time I need the ultimate, I will have built up the ultimate from fighting the boss. So we're just finished up our ultimate charging, so we're going to go ahead, go through the portal, and face off against the final boss, Hyeth the Battle Master.